Ciao.
Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. Again, I'm Bree Goodall. We're not going to go too far into it. We have Ronnie.
And we have Joy Young of Wondaland with us. And we're going to get right into this, okay?
Yes.
So we ended with just asking you, how are you doing? And what are you doing at this time for self-care and mindfulness?
So, I mean, these are hard times. They're weird times. So for myself, at the very beginning of the pandemic, when, you know, we were being asked to quarantine and stay at home or whatever, I had the bright idea to go home to Louisiana to quarantine with family. However, that wasn't the best. I mean, let me take it back. So I use it as time to get clarity from my mom about some things that I had questions about to better our relationship. So that was a positive that came out of that. But, you know, I think the longest I've stayed, I'm from Opelousas, Louisiana, by the way. It's a very small town. So I think the longest that I've stayed at home was probably like 3 or 4 days after graduating. So I was there for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I was like, I can't take it anymore. I gotta go home.
Gotta go.
Yeah, get out, gotta go back to Atlanta. But I use that time to really have like very intimate conversations with my mom to get some clarity on some things. And now I feel like our relationship is a little better. So that was that part of it. And so when I did come home to Atlanta, you know, I work from home anyway. So that didn't change much. But, you know, I am a little bit more self-focused, I guess you can say. You know, I was already going to the gym with my trainer 3 days out the week, 6 a.m. However, now I sleep in until about 7 or 8. That's the latest I can sleep in.
That's late.
That's late. What? I'm usually up by 5 or 6 every day. So 8 is the latest I can sleep in. So if I wake up at 7, I'll take an hour to read a chapter or two. Right now I'm reading Michelle Obama's Becoming. Like I ease myself up out of bed. I don't force myself up. So I read in the morning, you know, I take an hour or two to watch, you know, informative YouTube videos or listen to podcasts. And then I get into the workflow around 9 or 10, you know? So, and then after that, I'm usually done with like calls around 1 or 2. And so I eat lunch, and then after that, okay, what do I want to do for physical activity? Do I want to go outside? Do I want to work out? You know, I just try to sit with myself and figure out what type of physical activity I'll do for the day. Because, you know, it's hard to stay fit while you're at home all day. So thank God for my trainer. He's been sending me videos. I have exercises sets to do for the next month. Thanks to Xavier. Shout out to Xavier. Yeah, so my routine hasn't changed much because I've always been very conscious about my health, mental health, physical health, and my well-being. So it hasn't changed much, but it's allowed me to look inward a little bit more since I don't have events to go to or meetings to physically go to. So it's giving me a little bit more time to look inward and figure out the things that I need to make better within myself. And also, like, I think I have a green thumb now. Like, there were these plants that I had in my house and they were dying. And so now that I have extra time, I did research about the plants. You know, I've been taking really good care of them, and I feel like I've gained a green thumb since quarantine.
Nice.
Would you say that you're more, you know, in tune with yourself and have more, you know, control over your life since this quarantine?
No, I've always had a pretty decent handle on my life. Like I said, my habits haven't changed much. I've been doing self-work for about 7 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it you, Ronnie?
No, that's it. So we mentioned Teddy Riley technical difficulties. Did you watch the battle?
Of course I watched it. I was definitely in club Face and Riley with the other 500,000 people who got in, and the 3 million and some change who couldn't. I was in there. It was amazing.
It was beautiful.
Who did you think won?
Face.
Yeah. Definitely understood. I'm a little younger, and the 90s vibes, it was there for me.
I just think Teddy just does too much. Like, he kept getting up, broke on his charger, and then technical difficulties. It's like the vibe just kept getting fucked up. I mean, yes, he has records, but I'm an R&B person. Like, so all the records and jams from part one of the battle were my favorite all day. You know, there are like a handful of Teddy Riley records that I can party to and dance to, but you know, Babyface, he's responsible for a lot of babies that have been born in the past 40 years since he's been in the business.
I told my friends, I said, yo, late 80s, all 90s, he's responsible for all the babies born. Like
all the babies, all of them.
But whether it was his record, Tony's record, it was like.
Think about it, like somebody like that, okay, I don't even know the number of hits that he has, but think about the records that didn't get placed.
Yeah, it's more than 20 for sure, without a doubt.
The ones that, you know, if you're an executive or a manager or somebody on your team that you get to listen to that other peoples will never hear, like not even those. Like there are records that don't even hit the surface, but they're
not
still.
To mention, he's written over 300 songs, and then there probably some songs that just like you said that didn't get released. So
yeah, absolutely. He probably has a catalog out of this galaxy. Like it's probably insane.
Absolutely. So we want to dive a little bit more into it. And one of the first questions starting off is, you know, how do you stay firm and being respected in this industry for just your talents and not your looks?
Because I don't flirt. Okay, so let me be serious. All right, you say, how do I remain respected for my talent and not my looks? I'm a hustler by nature, right? And I ain't gonna lie, I have not always looked like this. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of work on myself, not like surgery, but you know, just natural work. Like I was an obese kid, so I worked on myself then. But I've always been a hustler. Like I've always let my work speak for itself. Like you'll hear about my work before you even see me, most cases. You might hear about my name before you see me in a lot of cases. So for me, like I've been told by people that y'all might know, like in the industry, oh, you need to use what you have to get what you want. Man, fuck that. Can we curse?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Also,
like I've been told before, literally, to use my looks to get what I want. I was like, nah, that's not my thing. Like I'd rather much work hard to get what I deserve versus trying to, and then that's something that you have to keep up, right? At the end of the day, that's the precedent that you set walking into rooms if you're known for that. My reputation is beyond my looks at the end of the day. Like this can be gone tomorrow. I want people to know me from my work and my work ethic and my reputation above all. So yeah, like, and I've been in compromising situations professionally. Thank God. Well, we didn't have Me Too several years ago, but I've been in situations where I could have compromised myself, but I chose not to because I knew, if I had to do something like that to get to a certain place, then it's not for me. I was raised better than that at the end of the day. And I knew that, you know, if that's what it took to get it, then yeah, it's not something that I want. That's not the route that I want to take. So yeah.
It's not worth it. It's not
worth it. Your respect is everything. Once you lose respect, that's it. People will treat you however you allow them to treat you.
And talk about you behind your back.
And talk about you behind your back and then spread rumors. And then that's why you're trying to figure out why, you know, you always getting approached with that because niggas talk. People talk, period.
They do.
All right. As a woman and a woman of color in a male-dominated industry, what challenges have you been faced with professionally and personally, and how have you overcome them? And then specifically, what are the most challenging aspects of your role in management?
So that's a two-part question. So the answer to the first question, what challenges have I faced as a woman and woman of color? I haven't really faced any challenges as a woman of color. I mean, we work in the entertainment business, so I don't think our industry sees color per se. However, there is a margin between, you know, when you get into the corporate environments, yes. But for me, to the question that you just asked me earlier, again, like I've had to prove myself in the workplace. And that's unfortunate for women who like to keep themselves up or whatever. And it's like, I don't want to be surface about it, be like beautiful women, because I think all women are beautiful, but it's unfortunate that if you are attractive to society standards, I guess you can categorize it like that, then yeah, you're going to get approached a certain way. And so, to be honest, that is the only challenge that I face. So for example, there was and I'm gonna just be super transparent and candid in this interview, because I feel like that's how people will get it. You know, I hate interviews when people are so surface and you're like, okay, well, what happened and all that. No. Yeah. So 2 situations. So the first situation, I was working for a label that will not be named and coordinating promotional tours, doing a great job. I had to fight for that job. And the person I was up against was a male. He was in the boys club, you know, so, and I didn't have anybody in my corner. So I had to fight extra hard to keep that contract or keep the client or whatever. And his boss hit on me. And because I didn't accept the pass, he called. I was on my way to shadow an executive in New York at this label. And I'm getting off of the plane. And I get a phone call from this person, from my manager, saying that person had called the executive that I was going to shadow, telling them that they didn't want me to work on that project. Wow. For no apparent reason, but I knew what it was. And so I literally had to take that executive to dinner and explain. It was a female, and she's my friend now, and explain to her what the situation was. And I mean, she's older than me, probably 10 years older than me, so she got it. She was like, oh, yeah, don't worry about that. I don't mess with him anyway. But I respect you for coming to me with that and just, putting it out on the table. So that was a lesson that I had to learn, that shit happens. And then the second situation, this industry is very hard to like break ground in. So in that phase of my life where I was like struggling, staying at different people's apartments, I didn't have my own place or whatever. I could barely pay bills, barely pay my car note. My car was about to get repossessed. I called my first cousin, who I just knew had the money and would give it to me. And I asked him, for the money for my car note. And he said, well, you're in Atlanta. You know me, I'm fresh out of Louisiana. I'm not really knowing the strip culture out here. So he's like, oh, you in Atlanta? And I was like, well, what do you mean? What's that supposed to mean? And he was like, oh, he's like, you can just go strip for a little bit, make it. Yes, my cousin, yes. And so I knew, I was like, yo, if that's what I gotta do, this ain't for me. Like, I literally stepped back from the industry at that point.
So I was gonna ask you, you don't have to say how old you were, but
I was probably 22 or 23.
Okay, so being 22, 23, facing post-grad and everything like that, how were you able to cope with the reality of, oh shit, this is how shit like this works in the music industry?
I don't think I ever looked at it like that, because for one, my aspiration wasn't to work in the music business. It kind of fell in my lap. But I was falling in love with it as I went and figuring it out as I went. So it never was a thought like, oh, this is how this works. It was like, okay, here's another challenge I gotta overcome. Okay, how do I get through this? Like, you know what I'm saying? To get to the next thing. But coping, I mean, if you want to talk about coping, I mean, smoking weed every day. Glass of tequila at 11 a.m., trying to take the edge off, like falling for guys who I shouldn't have been dating because there was a void, hole, you know what I'm saying, that I was trying to fill, looking, not knowing what I was looking for, but just needed attention, so the coping mechanisms were just that. They were vices that I had to get through. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, was it by design that you're only working with or majority with R&B artists?
I wouldn't say by design, no, because I started in trap. I don't know if many people know that, but I started at Trill Entertainment. So interning actually, and Boosie, Webby. That's when Wipe Me Down was out, popping, shit, independent. That's when Trill Entertainment was popping. But I think because I had a love for music. So I was in a band pretty much half of my life. Like I started, I think, in the 9th grade, and I played all through college. So a musician, right? So I already have a love and affinity for good music. I think trap was my entry point into the business, obviously. And then once I see you look confused, you like, what?
You know this person?
Something else, but we're gonna keep going down.
I don't know what James was. Hey, what's up? So it's so funny that you asked that. So after graduating, you know, I gave a band to focus on my career. I graduated from college. I moved to Atlanta with a production job. I never thought that I would ever want to work in a business again. I thought that was it. And then Atlantic found me or whatever. Fast forward it, because I feel like you have a question that's going to ask what I'm about to say, but I'm going to just fast through all of that. So in 2015, I probably was working, I was in production, working like 3 different production gigs, hustling, you know what I'm saying? I was good though, I was hustling. And then I feel like my mentor at the time, she was playing this Janelle Monae Electric Lady album, right? Now, mind you, I had been working with rap artists for like 6 years, right? So when I heard this album, I'm like, yo, who is this woman? This instrumentation, these storylines, these freaking, these interludes, like who the fuck is this? Like it just awakened my love for music again. I didn't feel like I would ever, well, I ain't saying I don't feel like I would ever, but I hadn't heard it in a while. Right.
Okay.
So I think that, and it's so ironic that I had that moment with that album, because now that I work for Janelle, but I had that moment with that album, and I listened to that album every day for like 2 weeks straight, and bought tickets for 2 to Tabernacle to see her perform by myself. I didn't know who I was gonna go with. I didn't have a man at the time, so I went or whatever. So that awakened my sense and love for music again. And so it's so ironic. In 2015, I got a text message from my big brother, who I also consider my mentor, asking if I would ever work for Janelle, and literally put me in touch with her manager, and you know, that's all she wrote.
Now, that being one of the questions on the list, of which artists or which few artists started your love for music?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh my, you know, I feel like this is the first time I've ever been asked this question.
Oh, well, look at that.
Wow. Okay. So if I can go back to what my parents listened to, like, of course, Michael Jackson.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all heard of Atlantic Star.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard of them?
That's probably before my time.
No, you're right. Come on. Atlantic Star. Oh my God. So of course, Bob Marley. That's why I love him to this day. Marvin Gaye. I mean, all the greats, Al Green, all of that shit, Earth, Wind and Fire, Frankie Beverly Mason. So like, that's what I grew up listening to with, you know, with my parents. But as a teenager, I mean, shit, B2K.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little B2K.
I know, right? Destiny's Child, Toni Braxton. I'm trying, God's Property, so Kirk Franklin. I'm trying to think of it. Oh, Brandy, how can I forget? Like, all of those albums, the 90s, period.
The 90s is like a hotbed.
I was that person. Y'all know how you could actually call the radio station and request a song?
Yeah. That was you.
That was me. I was the person I would call only because I had intention. I was the person that would call the radio station and request songs because I was making my own mixtapes, like literally popping the cassette in the recorder and like recording my own mixtapes for my own personal enjoyment. But yeah, I remember like when I discovered T.I., oh my God, like Motivation was my shit. That whole album after he got signed to Atlanta, that was my shit. Like that's when I discovered Atlanta music. I remember we went on a field trip here. I think I was in high school, and I remember D4L. Like I was like, yo,
the good times. The good times when stress wasn't a thing.
Yeah. And I also, oh shit, sorry y'all. I also remember, shout out to CJ. I don't know if he's in my live. I saw him earlier, but I remember when CJ introduced me to Webby. Like I was a senior in high school. I remember when I was introduced to Boosie, like they performed at a battle of bands at one of the high schools we were at. So, I mean, all of that. That's high school. I I used to listen
First
to
of
music.
all, Webby had me thinking I was trill as shit my senior year in high school because that shit stayed on my goddamn, stayed in my CD player, okay?
Right. Yeah. I think my
That
love
whole
for
album.
music then, starting in high school, it was like more of an escape for me. Yeah.
So growing up, as far as just who you looked up to, who were your inspirations, and who was your inspiration working in the field that you work in now?
Oh, so you're okay. So inspirations growing up. So I wanted to be a doctor, a pediatrician.
Oh, I got a biology degree. Lord have mercy.
All throughout my adolescent years, I was that girl that loved Discovery Channel store. I had all the stethoscopes and microscopes, and I was dissecting plants and whatever the fuck I can get my hands on. I wanted to be a doctor until one day I came home from school and BET was on. I used to watch BET Top 25 Countdown, like all those old ass shows. BET had just started 106 in Park, and Adrian Free was hosting, and I was just like, what is this? This should look fun. Like, I love music. I was like, they get to listen to music and watch videos all day and talk to my favorite artists. Like, I was like, Mom, is this a job? Like, can I do this for a living? And she was like, yeah. I was like, well, what do you call this? And I think I probably was like a freshman or sophomore in high school. And, you know, I learned that it was like mass comm, right? Mass communications. So I think those two, AJ and Free, were my inspirations at that point, because once I figured out that that was a job and a career that I could really have, I don't know if Google was a thing back then. Probably. I Googled them and realized that they went to, you know, school for mass comm, and that's what I had my heart on ever since. I was like, yeah, I'm going to school for mass comm, and that's what I'm gonna do. So
Okay.
those were my inspirations then. Getting into the business. I mean, once I got internships at Trill Entertainment and Atlantic Records, and I realized that that was a tangible situation, I gave up the idea of being on-screen talent, and I really wanted to focus on the business of music, because at that time, when I was in college, I was like a freshman, I launched a promotions company with two of my best friends, and we started throwing parties and getting paid to promote parties, and that's how Webby and Boosie and all them started coming to our parties. So I Googled, well, it was MySpace at the time. I looked up the person who was the GM of Trill Entertainment at the time. Her name was Courtney Scott. But I looked her up on MySpace and I sent her a message, and that's how she brought us on to promote those albums. So when I realized that I could get paid to do the business of music, I think I started looking into people like Kevin Liles, who was tangible. You know, he was working for Warner or Atlantic at the time. I got to meet him in college, working T.I.'s project. So I started looking at people like him and Julian Greenwald and Leora Cohen and the Andre Harrells and Diddy. Mm-hmm. I started looking at people who started these empires, and I like those became my heroes. And I got the books, I read them. I think that's when I realized, like, okay, this is their journey. I know it can happen. So I think this is what I'm going to set my heart on.
Because you start to see more people that look like you and say, oh, I can easily access them. Now, to someone, you know, that's aspiring to get in the industry, what do you tell them, or what strategies or platforms could they use to network and reach out to these people that's playing behind the scenes, but a big part in the industry?
I mean, I can use myself as an example. The one pivotal moment that got me into the music industry is when I was that 17, 18-year-old girl who started a promotions company, was throwing parties, and was looking for the next opportunity. And I identified somebody who looked like me, who I felt could help. And so I simply sent her a MySpace message and was like, hey, me and my girl started a promotions company. I was so bold and brave. Like, I was like, hey, me and my girl started a promotions company. You ever need somebody to help you put out your projects or promote your projects, let us know. Hit us up. We are your girls. I mean, obviously she didn't respond right there, so patient. But like a month or so later, you know, she hit us back and was like, yeah, we want to meet with y'all. And so, you know, at that time, I mean, we started the I don't even think we LLC'd it. Like, we just had the name Glamorous Entertainment.
Organic.
Yeah, we just came up with the name Glamorous Entertainment. But when she hit us back, we was like, oh yeah, we need to research some contracts, figure out, what the rate's gonna be. We need to go to the Secretary of State. Like, we was like, yeah, let's get this shit popping. So we did that. We did the business first before we like confirmed a meeting with her, and we put a contract in front of her. She signed it, and she dropped 24 by 36 posters to my dorm in a white 15-passenger van. And that's when I realized, okay, this shit is real. Like, when you're 17, 18 in college making $2,500 a week to promote a album, that's like real money.
Right. Real money today too.
And it's more than that stimulus check.
No, but I like the fact that you touched on you reaching out and you offering your services first. Like, you're offering to help,
Yeah. So to that point, to further answer that question, that's what I did at that time. And that's what got my foot in the door. Like, it was professional. Like, when I sent the message, I didn't bother her. I didn't send her multiple messages. I sent that one message and let that shit marinate, right? And if it come back to you, it's for you. If it doesn't, move on.
Absolutely, alignment.
So for anybody who's right now trying to figure out how to get in touch with that person, like with social media, you have access to anybody you want to get access to. You can simply shoot them a DM. It's up to them to respond or not, but the approach you should have is of service, like offer your services to them versus offering a handout. And also, don't be so closed-minded to do it for free if you have to. When I first moved to Atlanta, fast forward a little bit, when I first moved to Atlanta, a lot of people don't know that I interned for Brian Michael Cox for 2 years for free. I was in the studio with him every fucking day, going get food orders from Taco Cabana that was down the street from Dr. Being in the clubs with them, but working. Like, I wasn't just around, like I was doing the work. Like, I was working with one of his artists, his name is Bertel, shout out to Bertel, but I was working for them for free when I first moved out here. And like, how often do you get to work in the studio with somebody like that?
Yeah.
So if they can't pay you, like, get your foot in the door, show value, because when the opportunity comes to get paid, trust me, you will be the first candidate.
Absolutely. Now, can we take an intermission? Because I feel like I'm an alcoholic over here and I'm the only one that's been drinking. So can we get a glass raise?
Of course. Of course.
All right. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Who say he responsible for all the kids? Somebody might lie.
Brian Michael Cox?
No, Babyface.
He is responsible for all the kids.
I'm like new to this live shit. I don't be doing live.
Going back to college, how did going to a HBCU, shout out to all the HBCUs out there, prepare you for what you're doing now?
First of all, okay, shout out to my HBCU, Southern University. And shout out to the Human Jukebox. So I'm pretty much legacy at Southern. Like, my entire lineage of family went there, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna feel some type of way if my kids don't go, but I understand times are different, and I don't think they'll grow up in Louisiana because I can't see myself living there. But so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But
you have to go to the Bayou Classic every year.
Say what?
You take them to the Bayou Classic every year.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be enough because I was embedded in that culture. My grandparents went there, my parents went there, my siblings went there, all my cousins. I still got cousins there, people who are there now teaching in administration, like everybody at Southern. But I don't know, being at Southern, so HBCU life is like party life at the same time. Like, yes, get your education, but at the same time, like, people go there to experience a good time as well. But you have to be responsible. So, I was in honors college, but I had 8 a.m. classes, but at the same time, I was still clubbing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, by me being out in these environments, I was able to meet a whole lot of people. Mm-hmm. Also, my best friend, so Marissa, she was into athletics. And Andre at the time, like, her uncle was a coach at LSU. So we pretty much knew everybody on campus. I think us knowing everybody on campus allowed us the, I guess, access to be able to promote parties and throw events at that time because everybody knew who we were, right? So it helped me, you know, with my hustle while I was at school. I don't know if it would have been the same if I went to like LSU or some Ivy League school. I think me going to an HBCU helped me to develop my personality, provided me a resource and a way to start a business and make money and develop my gifts and my talents because I was in a marching band as well. So it was a beautiful experience for me.
What instrument you play?
Piccolo.
Oh, I played the flute in high school. Look at that.
Hey. In addition to that, so while in college, I also was an Atlantic Records intern. At that time, we were so competitive. Like, we competed amongst each other all the time. And you might know Dave Mahaldo?
Mm-mm.
Dang, I thought you might have known him. But anyway, so he works at United Masters right now in marketing. Prior to that, he was working at Roc Nation in marketing when I was there. Prior to that, he was I forgot where he was at, but he's been in the business as well. But I met Dave in college. He was also an Atlantic intern. So a lot of my relationships while in school, they have, you know, followed me throughout my career. We lean on each other, you know, we provide resources for each other. Like it's definitely a network that I'll take to the grave, you know. It's a beautiful environment.
So how important is it, you know, because you have the talks, if you pretty much don't get an internship, the chances of you getting into the industry, you know, become slim. How do you make sure that, you know, you become prominent in that and you stay focused into getting into the music industry or the media industry?
I think it depends on what sector you're trying to get into. On the business side, I think if you want to work smart and not hard, it's smart of you to get under somebody's wing and learn the ropes so you can sift through the bullshit. I think that's one reason why I didn't have to deal with a lot that most people have to deal with when they move to Atlanta is because I did intern for Brian Michael Cox for 2 years. So I was able to meet the right people, learn from him, learn from people around him, you know, learn the ropes of Atlanta, the who's who, you know, get all the access and all of that. And I mean, I've had other situations that I've interned for as well. It's like Penice Legal, she was the director at CSAC. I interned for her too, you know, helping her with her publishing events at CSAC. So I learned publishing that way. I mean, when you're a manager, you don't just start getting paid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to learn the business when you first start. So there are a number of books that you can read if you want to, you know, learn for yourself. But I would suggest getting an internship at a label or a management company so you can learn how to do the business the right way versus spending a whole bunch of time trying to figure it out on your own. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Now you've mentioned Brian Michael Cox a few times. What was that like, you know, being in the studio day in and day out, you know, with him? What were some of the like incredible moments you was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm witnessing this right now?
I mean, facts, because like I said, Monica, Jack, pretty much every artist in the R&B genre, he's worked with Mariah Carey, you know, so it's one thing. There's two moments that I can pinpoint off the top of my head that were crazy for me. So, as I said before, I was a huge B2K fan. So, do y'all know Troy Taylor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we just like me, Brian, Troy, and probably some other artists in there writing or whatever. And, you know, I'm minding my business in my corner doing my intern stuff. And, you know, they're having candid conversations, telling stories. Actually, it's free. They're having candid conversations, telling stories. And out of nowhere, Troy is talking about how, and mind you, I'm fresh to Atlanta. I don't know nothing about songwriting or producing at this point because I never worked with these people or worked in that area. So I'm listening to Troy. I don't even know who he is, but I'm listening to him. And he's like, yeah, you know, I work with B2K. And my I'm like,
the antennas got the flaring, huh?
What? And he was talking about how they were writing. I was like, nigga, what? And so I be doing the craziest shit. So I literally had the CDs in my car. So I was like, I'll be right back. So I went to my car and pulled out these CDs. That's when they had like the liner notes and all of that. So I grabbed them CDs and I went back in the studio. I was like, excuse me, Troy, can you sign these?
Complete fangirl moment.
I was like, listen, you're the closest thing I know to B2K right now. That's the first moment. The second moment, so now that I work with a lot of artists and I'm in the creative process and I'm hearing, the stories that you have to tell to get them into lyrics to eventually create a record. So one of the most iconic R&B albums of our time is Usher's Confession, right? So we in the studio and Brian is telling the story of how that album was made. It was one of the best moments of my life.
Wow.
And actually knowing the real story of that interlude at the beginning when he on the phone talking. That was somebody else's situation that they put on wax for him. Like he just sang it, but it was somebody else's situation.
I think that somebody else had spoken to that though. He said he said it wasn't Usher. It was
right. But imagine you don't know none of this. So you in the studio and it's like mind blowing, right? It's like, nigga, what?
Change your life.
So that was the second moment would be, and then the third moment, I had a phase in my life where I used to want to be a songwriter. So, it makes sense now. I used to write these songs and shit. I can't sing. Other people would demo them, but I used to write these songs and I thought they were fire, and they were. Okay. So we're in the studio, right? And my cousin Bertel and like these other artists were in there playing records, like artists do, whatever. So they're playing records, they vibe and whatever. And I'm just sitting there like, damn, I want to play a record. Like, damn, I want to play a record. It's like, Joy, just wait for the right moment. So they stopped playing these records and it was just quiet. Like you could hear a pin drop. And so the two guys left the room and I was like, B, I got something I want you to hear. He was like, okay, play it. I ain't telling him it was me, of course.
Good tactic.
Right, but I was like, I got something I want you to hear. So I played it. So the record is like on a Aaliyah vibe, but it's like a sample from Marvin Gaye. It was a very dope record. So I'm playing it and I'm looking at him like, do he like it? Like, so he's like vibing. I was like, okay, he feeling it. And so he was like, damn, that shit tight. Like, who wrote that? And I was like, well, I'm glad you asked. That's dope. And so somebody like B, like, always have a lot of people around him. You could never really get somebody like that alone. We were leaving the studio and he was like, Joy, and this was a very pivotal moment. And this, what he said stuck with me forever. So he was just like, you're going to make it. And the reason why you're going to make it is because you understand timing. He's like, you understand timing.
Alignment.
Yeah, you're alignment and you're not pressed. He was like, you going to, and I was like, damn, that's tight. That's what's up. That was like one of my favorite moments with him.
Nice.
Somebody talking about Jermaine and Janet. I don't got no Jermaine and Janet story. Sorry.
No, that was not.
Talking about that, the Usher moment. Okay. Sorry, I can't speak to that. I don't know. I didn't write.
Oh, okay.
He's talked about this. There wasn't Jermaine and Janet either. People, sorry.
No.
No.
You said that there was a pivotal moment for you, right? So, do you feel like you made it? And if so, was that your defining moment, or what was your defining moment?
Let's see. Okay. No, I don't feel like I made it. Like, absolutely not. And for me, my definition of making it has nothing to do with my career at all. Like, it has everything to do with my peace of mind and how I feel about myself and what I want to accomplish in life. And some of that has nothing to do with career. So no, there are things that I want to accomplish that I haven't accomplished yet. So no, I don't feel like I made it. A defining moment in my career. There have been so many because there's levels to this shit, right? Like every time you level up, it's a defining moment. I think when I renegotiated my position at Trinity Entertainment, I was an intern. I quit and strategically positioned myself so they could see everything that I was doing for Atlantics because I knew they would come back. So I positioned myself, and then the CEO hit me and was like, yo, what happened? Long story short, I ended up getting hired as the assistant of marketing. So that was a defining moment. Another defining moment in my career was when I was added to Atlantic Records college rep team. I feel like it was a test. The national promotions director at the time called me looking for somebody who can do promo for B.O.B. He wanted to coordinate a promo run. I'll never forget this day. I was walking down the sidewalk, headed to band practice, and he calls my phone asking if I knew anybody to set up a run. I was like, yeah, I'll find you somebody. Hung up the phone, and something in me was like, girl, pick up this phone back and call him and tell him you'll do it. And so I did. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, but I was like, well, it can't be that hard. Shit, we got records on. I mean, I've been working with Boosie and Webby. Like, let me just think about what we would want to see happen for our artists. And so I basically did that for them. And so when the run was over, he called me back and was like, yo, you on the team? And I was like, but I ain't asked to be on the team. He was like, fuck that, you on the team. And I was like, okay. So that was a defining moment. I think another defining moment was like not being fearful and just picking up everything and moving to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like that year for me, first of all, it was 2009. I had just graduated from college. And in my mind, I thought that I was going to be working for Trill Entertainment for a long time. However, it wasn't in the cards because a lot of legal shit was going down. I had to make a decision for myself. I decided to go to LSU and get my master's in sports marketing. However, I ended up just getting a phone call about a job working for BET in New Orleans, took that job, was with them for like 2 or 3 months. And then I got referred to a job in Atlanta. Had I been fearful, had I been like, oh, well, I've already applied to school and I got accepted, I can't lose that opportunity. I was like, fuck that. That was just like a plan B. Like I packed all my shit up in garbage bags and I put them shits in my Honda Accord. It was a 2-door Honda Accord and I moved to Atlanta without a thought. Like I didn't even think about it. So that was a defining moment.
And I know that's really hard being a girl, you know what I mean? Because like guys can kind of move and do what they want to do and nobody really thinks about it. Because I know even when I moved to Atlanta, I had people like, you sure you want to move?
I didn't even think twice about it. I think another defining moment, there's so many, like another defining moment was when I was in college and I had $200 in my pocket and I decided to go to New York for a week. How I survived in New York for a whole last week with just $200 because I know how much that shit costs now. I was like, girl, what are you doing? But my friend allowed me to sleep on her couch in the Bronx, and I was literally at Atlantic 5 days out the week, 7 o'clock to 7 p.m. I made so many connections there during that time. I was in all the clubs. Like that's where I really learned how to network in New York. So that was defining. And then for me, the biggest defining moment when shit just like did a whole 180, when I realized what's most important is when God sat my ass down. So this was 2012. From the outside looking in, shit looks good. Like I'm doing promo for Atlantic. You know, shit looks real good from the outside looking in. However, I was broke as fuck. My car had got repossessed. That's when I was smoking weed out the ass, like taking shots in the morning. I was talking to this dude that I shouldn't have been talking to. And I was just depressed. Like that was the lowest point of my life. And one of my big sisters who I consider my spiritual mentor, she calls my phone and she's like, yo, God has a word for you. He wants you to quit this job, break up with that nigga.
Amen.
Shit up. And you need to go back home. And he wants you to focus on him. And it was a prophecy that was so specific. And she said, and in 6 months, he'll restore you back to where you need to be, plus some. And mind you, like at the time, I wasn't this spiritual person that I am now. Like I wasn't in church for real. Like I wasn't reading the Bible. I didn't have a spirituality, but I didn't have nothing else to lose. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me pack my shit up in garbage bags just like I came here and go home. And so I was literally in Louisiana for 6 months. I changed my phone number. I got off social media. I was in church every Sunday, Bible study every Wednesday, got baptized. And sure enough, in the 6th month, I got a phone call from World Changers Church to interview to be the executive assistant to Capricio Scats. I don't know if y'all know him, but it was to be his assistant at Arrow Records, which is a gospel label. So I literally got on a Greyhound bus and came back out here, got hired the same day, and that restoration piece is real. I got my apartment in Midtown, you know. At that time, I think I was still taking Martyr back and forth, but Cap ended up blessing me with a car that was the exact same car that was repossessed. I don't know if he knew or not, but it was the same car. And, you know, I think I was in that job for like a year and a half, but that's when I ended up starting my own business, J Couture Productions at the time, because I got a little notification from a birdie that Cap was about to quit. So he, you know, Joy, I don't want you to be stuck. So we're going to go back in his office and start your business. And so he paid to LLC J Couture Productions. And so sure enough, Cap quit. I think I was there for like another 6 months, and they gave me severance pay and I had unemployment. I didn't have to work for like 6 months. So during that time, I developed J Couture Productions, and I also started a nonprofit called Stop Your Bullying. So for 6 months, I was developing a business and adopting public schools in Atlanta, doing mentor sessions, you know, about anti-bullying and doing pep rallies and all of that. And at the top of 2014, I had my very first client. He was a pastor, you know, coordinating conference tours for him. I started picking up indie artists, and I had a DJ that was a client. But, you know, again, that shit don't make you no money. So I hear these streets and hustle. Like that's when I was flying all over the country doing all these production jobs. So that's how I was able to work for the Grammys, Soul Train Awards, White House shit, BET Honors. Like I was taking flights left and right all over, because you know how I go. They hire local. Yep. So you got to tell them that you
got to be there. If you can't be there, they not hiring.
That's the trick. Huh?
So you're using your own money to buy these flights to trek back and forth across the country to get these jobs. But guess what? That's fine, because I mean, all these contacts, that's how I'm continuing to all these jobs. Like, it's okay. And the money that I was making, I was just pouring it back into my business, you know? And so, you know, it's so crazy that I ended up quitting working for Atlantic. When I started my business, Atlantic became a client. Like, I started coordinating national promotional tours for all of their urban artists, getting the bag. Like, and I had teams across the country. So it's just ironic. But I think the lesson in that is God will sit your ass down.
Yes, he will.
But it's good for you, because you, like, I literally put into perspective what was important. Like, I couldn't have done any of that without him. And that's why right now I don't take credit for nothing. Like, it's all God, because at any given time, he could take it away from me. Like, I ain't none of it.
I was going to ask you, in hindsight, did you know what was going on at that time? Like, did you know he was actually working on you? Or a couple years later, you like, oh, this one was going on?
The thing is, when you have nothing left and you put all of your belief and faith into a higher being, right? When you obey, the key is obedience. When you obey, and then you see the return on that investment, like for all the business folks, when you obey a word, that is a promise that I got a promise. That prophecy,
he gave you a promise.
So when I obeyed that promise, I held him to his word. And I said, look, now you said 6 months. You know what I'm saying? But I stayed, and I was anchored in my faith, right? So after that, it's like, shit, that shit worked. So anytime I get a word from God or a prophecy, or, you know, like, I hold him to that word, and there's no question that he's doing it on my behalf, because but it's tried and true. I've already been there. I know it works, and I trust my faith, and I trust God. So it's like, cool. You want me to move to Africa? Cool. I already know it's for me that I just can't see, but you can see it. So whatever you need me to do, I'm gonna do it, because I know
it's literally the epitome of walking by faith and not by sight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I still do it to this day, like, for sure.
So we spoke a little bit about mentors and mentorship. Who have been your mentors in the industry, and how have they helped you grow professionally and personally?
Mentors. Well, I would consider my very first mentor. I don't know if Courtney's tuned in, but I would consider my very first mentor in the industry, Courtney Scott. So Courtney is the person who I identified at that club that time when I reached out on MySpace.
Okay.
And so I mean, to be honest, I don't even know, because we're really close friends to this day. She's like family. So I don't even know if she like was like vetting me for a period of time before she reached back out. But she took a chance. Like, she took a chance on us. Real shit. She took a chance. And out of the 5 interns that started, I was the last one standing. Right? Mm-hmm. But beyond that, like, just to be super transparent, I think my junior year in college, we moved in together. Like, she was my boss, and it turned into a big sister / mentor / roommate. And then through conversation and realizing that there was a void for luxury events in Atlanta, she turned into a business partner. We started throwing events together. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, now it's like, you have like friends and family that you don't talk to all the time, but when you do talk to them, it's like pick right back up where you left off. That's how our relationship is. And now we've traveled the world together. Like, so I can go to Courtney for anything business related. She was pivotal in me getting my job at Wondaland, because I put her down as a reference. So anything, like whether it's job related or personal or whatever, family, I can go to Courtney for anything. So that's one. Definitely Deani Harper at Atlantic. So when I met Deani, she at the time was a product manager, and that is the person I remember meeting her. We had, shout out to Hamilton Park, that's why I managed. We had an event at Park Tavern where they performed at, and it was like the week of their album release. And I'm busting my ass doing promo and shit, and I'm like, damn, I want to meet Deani. And so I run into her, she runs into me, and we both were like, man, I've been looking for you. And I was like, shit, I've been looking for you too. What's up? She was like, I've been hearing so many great things about you. She was like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? And I at that time, I had already looked up her job title and what the job description was. And it came out of my mouth. I didn't realize I said it in the moment. I was like, I want your job. Like, but not like I want to take your job. I just think I can do what you do.
Inspiring, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, and she was like, okay, cool. But a lot of times people in the industry, they give you that industry.
Okay, cool. Okay. And it's like,
yeah, they're like, all right, cool. Just send me an email, text me or something. No, she really meant that shit. But I don't know if she thought I was playing, because like the next week I sent her my flight itinerary, and I was like, I'm on my way. And so she opened her executive door. And I think that was when Diggy got signed to Atlantic. And so she opened up her building to me. Like, I was able to sit in every single department meeting with Diggy. And that's when I realized all the intricacies of a label that it takes to successfully put out a project, from marketing to public relations to international department to creative services to radio promotion. Like, I worked at Trill, but it was a small office. Right. I didn't realize that it took a whole machine to really put out a signed artist project. And so that was a pivotal moment for me, and we've been in touch ever since. So when I started J Couture Productions, I used to do these benefit concerts at Clark, to where it was HIV awareness. So like, students get tested, you can come to these concerts for free. So, when I started my business, I reached out to Deani. I was like, listen, I started this company, we're doing these concerts, we're looking for sponsors. If you have artists, developing artists who need promotional opportunities, hit me up. And so she sponsored a few of my events. She would send artists out. So she really fucked with me and really helped me develop my business and my reputation as a businesswoman in the business. So that was another moment that Deani looked out for me. And from there, I feel like that's how I was able to get Atlantic as a client, right? To now coordinate tours across the country. Who else? I feel like there's been so many. I mean, shit, Panisse Lagal, that's another one.
And what do you feel the importance is of mentorship? Like, as far as looking for one, should they come naturally? Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's a little different now. Internships, like for labels, if you're going through the system, they're actually paid. You can literally go to the website and apply. I mean, it always helps to know somebody who can help you sift your resume through, but the process is different now from when I was in college or post-grad. Like, you can literally go to a label site, any major, and apply for an internship. But if you don't have that, again, as you've heard the many times that I've spoken about how I've gotten opportunities, I was never afraid to put an inquiry out there or a filler out there. Also, you know, again, going back to your work speaks for you. So Corey Sparks, how can I forget? Shout out to Corey. I don't know if you can hear, but Corey Sparks right now works for Epic Records in some very important title. I can't tell you what it is because I only look at him like my brother. But Corey has known me since I was 18 years old and working at Trill Entertainment because he used to work our records, right? 18. I'm 30 something right now. Okay.
Well, girl, so, you look good.
Thank you, girl. So 2015, Corey is the reason why I work at Wondaland, and the reason why I was working at Roc Nation. Corey is the person, you know, watching me from afar. It's like my spokesperson when it comes to references. And like, I think the situation was my boss, Mikhail, was at a radio station. Jiddena had promo. You know, he was complaining about he can't find someone who's hardworking, trustworthy, respectable, yada, 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 all those amazing things that I am. And so Corey was like, oh, you should hit up Joy. And so that's how that whole thing happened. But he vouched for me. Corey's a person, he don't vouch for nobody. Right. So the fact that he vouched for me, I mean, shit, he must have been watching me for a minute to feel comfortable enough to vouch for me with such a respectable person. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I always go back to just work hard, right? Like, just be yourself. Don't be out here trying to play games. Don't be out here trying to, like, stab people in the back. Like, just be honest, be sincere, and just work hard, because I promise you people are watching. And, these job opportunities, there are a lot out there, but it's not like your normal 9-to-5 corporate, let's post a job on jobseeker.com situation. It's like, even though those job descriptions are online, 9 times out of 10, they've already identified who they want to hire through like one-on-one referrals, like picking up a phone, like, hey, do you got somebody to fill this position? Or a text message. I was put in a 3-way text message and then the interview process started. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, just work hard. I promise you we watching. And the minute something opens up, we're going to identify the person to refer for that position. So that's my biggest thing, you know? And again, Corey's the reason why I've gotten all these different positions, because I just work hard. It's not like we talk every day. Like, that's my big brother. We talk shit, you know, he look out, but I just work hard. That's it.
Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about, you know, the backstabbing and everything like that. And a lot of people say that the music industry is a dog-eat-dog's world. What were some situations where you learned just not to take things personal and it's just strictly business?
I can go back to the Roc Nation. As much as, you know, we want to be kumbaya or whatever, you know, people come from different backgrounds, different environments, to where you do have to fight for your position, or you might be a little jealous, whatever the situations are. But I had a situation where a coworker of mine, maybe she felt threatened, I don't know, but she would continuously take jabs at me, try to diminish my work, try to say I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know nobody, whatever the case was. And then she tried to do it in front of my boss. So that's when I was like, you know, when you do it behind, you know, on the side, that's cool, girl, say what you want, I don't care. But when you try to do stuff like that in front of my boss, it's like, okay, now I gotta sit you down. Mm-hmm. So I literally had to take her, like, we had to go to lunch. And I'm glad my boss took up for me. He was like, listen, you don't know her. You don't know her history. You don't know where she's been. You don't know what she's done. She wouldn't be here if she didn't know what she was doing, type of thing. So we had to go to lunch, basically put everything on the table. I literally had to explain to her, like, give her my background, all of that, for her to understand that I deserved to be, for her to understand that I deserved to be there. And from that day on, we became like sisters. Like, it was weird, but I understood, you know, because she came from the streets. I get it. Like, you be in the clubs all the time. You be with all these niggas all the time. I get it. Your demeanor is what it is. But that's one situation where I've had to like identify what it is, not react or bring myself to her level, but just approach it in a professional way. And after that, if she continued to do it, then I'll just go to HR. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's cool.
Okay.
But I'll give you a chance. But that was one recent, like last year before last, whatever, most recent situation where I had to like have a conversation with someone about that.
So going back to the Rock Nation situation, or just in general, what's the time that you have been like released from a position, let go? How did that affect you, and how did that propel you to hustle harder or propel you into more greatness?
Oh, child.
Think about which angle.
Like so many. I won't take it back to college. I feel like we touched that already a little bit. I mean, we can, okay, so Rock Nation, you know, that was beyond any of our control. We couldn't stop that if we wanted to. However, I'm glad that I listened to Corey. Corey used to be on my back about saving my money. You know, because when you make a certain amount of money, like, and you ain't never had nothing, you not educated or you don't have financial literacy, you'll spend buying bags, designer shoes, like taking trips and shit. But I didn't do that. I saved my money. I mean, yeah, I took a couple trips, but I wasn't buying like the $1,500 bags or $1,500 shoes, none of that shit. I saved my money. So when that situation went down, my live is tripping, but anyway, when that situation went down, like we completely got caught off guard, right? I was in the middle of promo actually, and I got that phone call. Not only was I in the middle of promo, I was actually closing on a house. I was in the middle of a closing. Had put my shit in storage. And, sorry, y'all. Put my shit in storage. And I was preparing to move out. So had I not saved my money, I would have been asked the fuck out. Right? But at the same time, just because I got a savings, I'm like, okay, my savings, I already know how long that's gonna last me. I gotta make more money, you know what I'm saying, on top of that, so I can at least be good for like 6 to 8, maybe 10 months, right? So when I lost that job, you know, I think I mentioned this to y'all the other day, like people were really on me about not posting what happened. And something in me was just like, Joy, post that shit. So I posted it. And shout out to Ryan and TK at the gathering spot, but they reached out to me after I posted and was like, yo, don't worry about that. We got something for you with A3C. Pull up tomorrow. So went over there, had a conversation with them. They were looking for someone in marketing and they hired me. And so got that position, but I still I didn't feel secured enough.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that was like a 6-month retainer. So I still need to, you know, figure something out long-term with clients or whatever. Also, you forget that I didn't have a place to live because I had to move out of my apartment. My lease was up and I was closing on the house. So I let the house go because I didn't know what my financial security was going to be. And a mortgage, so that's like some serious shit, right? So I was going back and forth about whether to get in an apartment or try to get another house. And so my thought process was, well, let me get an Airbnb because it's fully furnished for about 2 to 3 months. And let's look into some other house options if I happen to get another full-time job. So by the grace of God, I was in conversations with my boss at Wondaland and they wanted to bring me back. So I ended up getting that job. But there was like a span of 3 months where I had 2 full-time jobs with A3C, but also Wondaland. So imagine how much work that was. And then by the end of July, August, I had to make a decision to give one of those up. Obviously, it was A3C. I felt like they needed to bring somebody in who can work at the capacity that they needed them to work. So I could focus on Wondaland and make sure I'm being the best version of a manager that I could be, because this is my full-time job now. So now it's like things were happening so fast, not realizing the amount of money that I was making, because I was saving it too. At the same time, like by the end of last year, you know, tax time, you got to get your accountant shit situated. Like I cleared 6 figures, and I'm looking up like, I done went through hell and high water for me to clear 6 figures.
Okay, let's get a wine toast to that. Let's get a wine toast to that. Ooh.
I was like, what the hell? I lose my job to get 2 jobs to clear 6 figures. That shit was crazy, but I did. And so I ain't never worked that hard in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the hardest I've ever worked.
With all that, working hard, because clearly 2 jobs, all that, what keeps you going? What keeps you from getting tired? And what keeps you grounded?
Child, okay, what keeps me going? Actually, I love what I do. Like, I don't consider work because I actually have a passion for this. I'm not in it for the money. I enjoy, like, genuinely enjoy working with talent and being in the creative process from ideation, conception to creation, and then figuring out strategies to get the product out and all of that. And then also reaping the rewards of your hard work, you know, all the accolades that come with it. That shit is fun to me. Like it's something new there is no textbook for this shit. It's something new every single day. So it's fun for me. It never really gets frustrating. So I think it gets me going. I literally wake up excited every morning to do work because it doesn't feel like work to me. But at the same time, like, I feel like since all of that happened last year, I have really been in tune with myself and my spirit. I mean, I've been in tune with my spirituality for years now, but in tune with myself. Like, what does joy want? What do you really want? Like, I even had to take a step back and make a conscious decision that I want to go back into management. Because again, I didn't have the same role at Rock Nation. Rock Nation, I was the Southeast Promotions Director. So my job, I was managing over 40 stations, urban, AC, and rhythmic across 4 states. And in each station, I had to know everybody and also have conversations daily with 3, at least a program director, assistant program director, mix show coordinator, and several DJs. So let's just say 10. Let's just say 10 people per station across 40 stations.
Wow.
400 people probably a week that I'm talking to. Not only that, I started in the clubs. I made a decision to get out the clubs. And so I just ended up back in the club. I'm like, what the hell I get back in the club? So, with that job, like what comes with that role, you have to bring artists to clubs. You have to be in the clubs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever the nights are popping, getting your records played on mix show, getting these spins, because every fucking spin counts. Like every spin counts. So it's like, and I'm new, like I had never held that position before. So I have to prove myself. So I have to work harder than the next person who's been in that position for 10 years plus. And I did a damn good job. By the time I left, the president had called me and was like, yo, you did a great job. I couldn't tell you that, but you did an amazing job. So, I mean, that made me feel better. But again, to my point, like I had to be in clubs again. I didn't want to do that. So I had to have a conversation with myself, like, do you want to get into the promotions job or do you want to go back to management? I think the beautiful part about that situation was it made me appreciate the work I was doing at Wondaland again. Because I got into a role, came with many accolades. Everybody want to work for Jay-Z. Everybody want to work at Rock Nation. Mm-hmm. Everybody want that. But it like I felt in 2017, I lost 30 pounds.
Wow.
Right? So when you have a budget to take niggas to dinner, in pubs, buying liquor, and then you traveling all the time, it's like you can easily lose yourself in that. Mm-hmm. You can easily not go to the gym at 6 a.m. because you've been up since 1. You can easily not meal prep because you've taken dinners 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 times a week, but you're just tired because you're working all the time. So it's like you'd rather sleep. versus get up and go to the gym. So I felt like I was losing myself again in all of that. So I think the beautiful part about it was I didn't have to do nothing. It was taken away from me. I didn't have to do anything. And so it made me have a conversation with myself and really identify what I want. What does Joy want to do? Does she want to go back into that environment where it's cat, dog, like dog eat dog, the cattiness, however, you're getting all the attention. It feels like you got power. You're getting these Amex cards with crazy budgets. Or do you want peace? You know, do you want to be able to go to the gym 3-4 days out the week at 6 a.m. and, you know, do your calls from 10 to 1 and then you're free to do whatever and also have the freedom to travel. Like, I've never been in a corporate environment most of my career to the point to where I had to, like, y'all know how it is when you got to put in PTO and all this shit. You got to ask people to travel to wherever at whatever day you can travel. I wasn't used to that. So that was a struggle for me too, having to ask permission to get up and go somewhere. So, and I was like, well, damn, do I want to reclaim my time, bitch? Like, I need that. Like, and so I made a decision. Prime example, my previous boss called me and offered me a job at another label with more money. So it was like, damn, do I really want to go back into that? And I told him no. I was like, actually, no, I really prefer being a manager because I love the creative process. When you're on the promotion side, you're completely detached from the creative process, from the day-to-day, from the conversations. Whatever they deliver you, that's what you got to work with, whether you like it or not. But as a manager, you're fully invested into the career of that artist from, like I said, artist development, every area, marketing, PR, whatever it is. And so for me, I preferred that side of it. I don't care what the dollar sign was. I mean, I do care, but I could lose $20,000, you know, if I was at peace. So that's why I made that decision to go back into management because it was better for me. And yeah, like, and I don't regret that decision. Like, I feel like I'm my best self right now.
I'm glad you spoke on the peace part and that you keep speaking on it, because a lot of times people just see that, oh, it's this and it's that, but don't know what all of that over there comes with. You know what I mean? And you can't buy peace of mind at all.
Yeah.
At all.
So I wanted to piggyback, you know, off you being a manager, you working with different artists. Was there a particular situation where you learned that each tactic or strategy did not work with the same artist?
Absolutely. You cannot do a cookie cutter strategy with every artist. It just does not work. Unless that artist doesn't know who he or she is. But no, every artist deserves their own strategy and their own approach, for sure.
Did you have to learn that the hard way or going on, did you know? Okay.
So again, hard way. Thinking. So when I had my own independent clients early on, I think we both parties was learning as we go. Because again, I was never a manager. And these artists were fairly new trying to get in. So I feel like it was like a give and take kind of situation. Like we were both learning. There was a learning curve there. So I don't think I put that much pressure on myself or the client. We kind of were just figuring it out together. But there has been one situation I can remember for sure where, and then too, the thing about management, like, it's not about you. You have to remove your ego, or what you think or what you want. At the end of the day, I feel like the artist should have the last say so about their artistry. Because there was a situation early on when I had my own, you know, management company, where I was so pressed about this creative idea or decision to the point where I got disrespectful. And that wasn't a proud moment for me, not, you know, looking back on it, but that was a situation where I was tripping, you know. So that was a lesson that I had to learn then. But now, I feel like once I started working with Wondaland, I really, really understood the creative process. And I understand that each artist deserves their own process because each artist is different.
Absolutely.
With artists, do you when you're picking or trying to figure out if it would be a good match for you to manage an artist, how do you go about that? Do you say yes and then see if it works out and then cut ties, or how do you?
Absolutely not. I'm so blessed to be in a situation where I can pick and choose. But the level I'm at right now, I'm not trying to work with everybody and their mama. Like, I get so many inquiries to the point where I've created folders in my inbox, my email, that just says music discovery. So when I have time, like, I'll go and listen. But right now, it's like, I look for the branding, obviously the music, that's the first thing, you know, quality. If there is potential, I feel like I've worked with enough artists to know if there is real potential in an artist. I'm not really, like, for new artists, I don't really look at numbers because I deal with that on my end. Like, I have talented acts and they may not have the social media numbers that these majors be looking at. So I don't really look at that off rip because that could be fixed quickly. I pay, but, you know, different campaigns or whatever. So, you know, when I look at talent, I'm looking for work ethic for number one, like maybe number two. Music one, work ethic two, because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to work harder than you.
Right.
Like, you have to show me that you can outwork me, right? Like, what are you doing when you're not in the studio? Like, what does your off day look like? You know, they're like, independent artists right now are winning, but the ones who understand work ethic and also doing a little homework on their own, like how streaming platforms work, how algorithms work, you know, engagement work, content, like, it's so much knowledge out here for you to learn. So you should never just be comfortable with just being an artist at the end of the day. You know, so for me, it's like, I want to know that you're working just as harder than I would be if I were to manage you.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap it up soon. You've been kicking it with us for a while. You said what now?
I was looking at the time, like, what time is it?
Yeah. So what would you tell, you know, a young girl who's looking to, you know, be in the same path that you are? What would you tell her right now?
Oh, child, you're gonna make me take it back to my childhood. So, like, yeah, when I wanted to be I wanted to be a doctor, and then when I wanted to be in the music business, my mom wasn't having it. She was not having it. So to start, I would tell my younger self, or any young lady trying to get into the business, to not let anyone tell you that you can't do or be what you want. Don't be afraid to go against the grain. Don't be afraid to go against what your parents say. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And don't be afraid to accept opportunities when you feel like you're not qualified, or you don't know what you're doing, because you can learn as you go. This is a real thing. I would say be open to pivots. Just because you had a plan, be open to it changing. Be open to the universe giving you other options, because at the end of the day, sometimes it takes different scenarios to get to that same objective. So don't be afraid to just change. Don't be afraid of change, I guess you could say. I would say don't be afraid of the struggle. Like, there are going to be moments where you're not going to know what you're going to eat today. You're not going to know how you're going to make your money. Shit, you ain't going to be able to get your hair done, your nails done. But that's all a part of the process. Like, enjoy the process. It's a part of your development, because that's what makes you appreciate. Those struggles make you appreciate, you know, once you have, you know, all of these things that come with, you know, working hard. As you get into your careers, don't be afraid to ask for what you're worth. And also, don't be afraid to leave situations if you don't get what you're worth.
Absolutely. Don't
be afraid to negotiate what you're worth. Because at the end of the day, if you are valuable and they see your value, they are going to figure it out. They don't want to lose you. They're going to figure it out. So don't be afraid of that. I would also tell a younger woman, don't be afraid to go against what society thinks you should be. I've sacrificed a lot of relationships. I know sacrifice is a hard word, but shit. I've sacrificed so many relationships to just stay focused on me and what my goals were. So many boyfriends. I probably would have been married and with kids by now if I made the decision to not, pursue my dreams and worry about that. But no, like, my dreams and goals are real and I want to attain this. So I would tell young ladies, don't be afraid to not be in a relationship, to pursue your dream, because it'll come when it's supposed to. And I would also tell, I feel like people have a fear of not even success. It's okay to be wealthy. Like, I don't know what it is. There's a stigma in Black religious community.
Ooh, you going there?
100. Don't be afraid to make money. It's okay to have wealth as long as you are blessed to be a blessing, as long as you're giving back to your communities and to people who need it, school, like mentoring, whatever avenue you have to take to give back. It's okay to make money and be wealthy as a Black woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, and one fear that I have, I'm at this point in my life where everybody's like, Joy, you should write a book, or you should do webinars, or you should do this and that and the third. But I'm like, I'm not at a point to where I feel like I should be telling somebody what to do and how to do it. Mm-hmm. So I'm speaking to myself now. Don't be afraid to, how can I put this? Be a voice, I guess. Don't be afraid to use your voice.
I was going to say, I like that you talked about the being afraid of success. My therapist actually talked to me about scared of failure. And that's a vivid thing in the Black community as well, that we want things to be so perfect, or we want them to look a certain way, when it's just like, just put it out, or just do it. Just, just do it. So absolutely.
And I will also say, don't be afraid of the word no.
Very important.
Like, you're going to get so many no's in your life. Don't let that deter your goals in life. Like, I've been told no a whole bunch of times. One specific example, and I know we're about to go. I feel like I'm a pastor now, and I'm in on this. When I thought I was open for Atlantic, I just knew I was going to be working for that company. Like, Deani asked me to interview to be her assistant. And I was like, she referring me. I know I'm going to get this job. And I interviewed with her and Marsha. I thought it went well. And a week or two later, she was like, Joy, you didn't get it. And I was like, why? Why didn't I get it? Like, that was my position. And she was like, you didn't get it because I see so much in you. I knew, and I know that you're not supposed to be stuck behind a desk, Joy. Mm-hmm. So you never know why the universe tells you no. You just got to take it and roll with it. And sure enough, years later, they became a client. And I was making more money than I probably would have been making as her assistant.
Talk about life full circle.
Okay,
so don't be afraid of no. Don't be afraid of no.
We're going to wrap this up with, this is the last question. What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh my gosh. Child, that's deep. What do I want my legacy to be? When I think about legacy, I think about things that or what I leave behind for my children and my children's children and their children. I want my kids and my grandkids to know that their matriarch was fearless, that she traveled the world. She has stories to tell, that she was a giver, a philanthropist, a very bold and courageous woman, that she is the epitome of an example for them to be bold, beautiful, successful, and it will come, but teach them how to build wealth, generational wealth. Mm-hmm. So I want my legacy to be an example for them, because I feel like that's something that I didn't necessarily have. I mean, my mom, don't get me wrong, beautiful woman, very smart, knows how to manage her money well, but because she didn't have a mother, she didn't get those necessary skills to teach me and my other two sisters. So, learning all of these things, I want to be the example for generations to come on how to live a happy, successful, giving life, and hopefully leave a mark on the world.
Nice. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. What do you have coming up? I know there's something that we need to go ahead and let the people know about.
So one of the things, well, a few things. I've been focusing on a few things for COVID-19 relief, but the one thing that's like closest to my heart right now, I've rallied up partners between Janelle Monae and Wondaland Art Society, The Gathering Spot, Andre Dickens, who's the councilman of Atlanta at large, and these two wonderful companies, Project Isaiah and Gate Gourmet. We've teamed up to be able to provide box meals to the communities of Atlanta. And our first drive-through distribution is going to be on Sunday from 12 to 3. So we're going to be feeding about 400 to 500 families, 5,000 meals we're going to be giving away. So I'll put the link in my bio, and I think it's posted on my page, but tinyurl.com/Wonda, WONDA lunch on us is where families can go to register for this. So in addition to that one, we're partnering with a lot of different schools. So I think North Clayton Middle and South Atlanta are going to be our next two sites in the next couple of weeks. So overall, like, I'm trying to give away like 15,000, 20,000 meals if need be, whatever the need is. But Project Isaiah and Gate Gourmet are the two organizations. So it's a really cool story. So Project Isaiah is backed by a bunch of angel investors, and it's like a two-part thing. So Gate Gourmet is the company that produces all of the meals that you would particularly buy in flight. Mm-hmm. But because people aren't flying, Project Isaiah is backing Gate Gourmet to be able to continue to produce these meals for families in need. So they're in about 9 different major cities across the country. They've been able to give away probably close to 500,000 meals so far. And in addition to that, we're keeping over 500 people employed across the country.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm happy. They reached out to Janelle to get involved. Wondaland has entrusted me to project manage this whole situation. So I'm just happy that we're able to really, provide some type of food relief for these families. I know a lot of parents are struggling. They're used to their kids eating twice a day or however many times a day at school, but they have to worry about now dinner and weekends, especially those families, who have lost their jobs. So it's a tough time, man. We're in weird times, but, if that's what I can do to help, I'm on it,
Absolutely. You deserve all the blessings that come to you.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us for Women in Music Wednesdays. This is Rnbuntapped. We have Bree, we have Joy Young. Joy, tell them where they can follow you or get in touch with you if you would like.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's JCOUTUREPR. And that's also Twitter. That's also Snapchat. Yeah, I think that's it. I think Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, Joy Young on Facebook.
Yep. Well, we thank you so much for putting aside this time for us and sitting down and speak with us on behalf of Rnbuntapped. So we truly appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I understand it's the first one, right?
Yes. So you blessed it.
Being the first one.
Thank you. And shout out to Drew.
Shout out to Drew.
Yes, shout out to Drew. We love you, Drew.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Have a great
night. All right.
night.
Thank you so much. So we just stopped the live stream. Thank you so much, Joy. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
Oh, no, you're good.
So just so you know, like we moved from Facebook we put it on YouTube. So that we transitioned to the live onto YouTube. So we were streaming off YouTube for the live.
I saw the YouTube thing. I was like, okay.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. You was able to see
Facebook Live stop?
Yeah, it kept stopping. So I was like, oh shit, let me figure out something real quick, because I know that, remember, Ronnie, the last 24 hours, it was saying like in 24 hours the YouTube work, so people were tuning in on that. So Joy, you have a great night. Be safe, stay healthy. We hope to stay in contact with you in the future. Okay.
Thank you. See y'all later.
All right.
Shout out to everybody.